Chapter 27, Section 4. The Allies were on the offensive in the Pacific, ultimately trying to get within striking distance of Japan. Now, the war in the Pacific is going to be dependent on different forces than it had been in Europe. The Pacific is going to depend very much on air and sea power. And the United States is going to use a strategy called island hopping. We're going to move from island to island, taking the important ones on the way to Japan. And any island that we didn't take, any island that we passed over, would thereby be cut off from Japan. And on the islands that we take, we would build airstrips to use them to launch and attack the next island if they didn't already have an airstrip there. General Douglas MacArthur is going to begin marching his way back to the Philippines, fulfilling his pledge of he shall return. So U.S. and Australian troops were moving across New Guinea, and by the fall of 44, we were ready to invade the Philippines. The Allies are going to land at the Philippine island of Leyte. The Japanese counter our landing at the Battle of Leyte Gulf, which is going to be the largest and last naval battle in the Pacific. And we hurt Japan here. They lost 4 carriers, 2 battleships, along with some cruisers and such. The Japanese fleet was shattered. They will no longer be a threat to the Allies. And the Filipinos are going to help MacArthur retake the islands by February of 44. It was at the Battle of Leyte Gulf that the Japanese are going to introduce a last resort, a desperation move, the Kamikaze, which means divine wind. These were suicide planes. The Japanese considered it an honor to die in the line of duty. And during World War II, they are going to use about 1,300 kamikazes, sinking about 30 ships, causing about 3,000 deaths. The fact that they're using kamikazes makes this next statement kind of ironic. The Japanese were starting to run low on aircraft. Well, here's an idea. Stop crashing them into things. But it wasn't just because of the kamikaze. We were just better. For example, at Saipan, the Japanese lost 350 planes at the battle over Saipan. Well, we lost 30. Japan's aircraft carriers were no longer a threat with no planes. Once we get Saipan, our B-52s were now in reach of mainland Japan. And so, beginning in 44, we begin to firebomb Tokyo daily. Much of the city is destroyed. You know, people even jumped into the river to escape the flames. But so many people jumped into the river and they got packed in there so tightly, people in the river didn't drown, they suffocated. And then their dead body didn't even have room to fall over dead. Let's talk Iwo Jima. February 1945, 750 miles from Tokyo. Our planes want to leave Saipan, fly to Tokyo, bomb Tokyo, other parts of Japan, and fly back to Saipan. There's a problem. On Iwo Jima, you can see it faintly in the background on a picture of Iwo Jima, there was a runway. There were fighter planes there from Japan. And they would attack our B-29s or harass our B-29s on their way to bomb Japan. We need to take Iwo Jima. Our planes and ships are going to bomb Iwo Jima for 2.5 months. Once the Marines go in, they still faced strong resistance, even to the point that to gain 700 yards of land took 3 days. We're going to fight in Iwo Jima for about a month. 5,000 U.S. soldiers are killed. 15,000 are wounded. We killed 20,000 Japanese. It was at Iwo Jima that famous Pulitzer Prize winning picture of the Marines raising the flag occurred. And there's more to that story that you can see if you ever watch the movie Flags of Our Fathers. Okinawa, April 1st, 1945, 350 miles from Japan. You're going to have the largest landing force in Pacific history. The largest in history was D-Day. Pacific history was Okinawa. The thing is, the Japanese didn't resist us landing. They were nowhere to be seen when we landed. After 5 hours, there hadn't even been a shot fired. Thing is, we had that huge force off the coast. Japan knew if they were down by the coast, they'd be obliterated by our big ships. So they were dug in inland. 5 days later, the Japanese attack. 700 planes, half of which were Kamikaze, and they do sink 6 of our ships. Okinawa is going to be the bloodiest battle of the Pacific. I mean, the Japanese were dug in. They hid in caves. You know, we had to overtake each individual cave. They fought to the death. We end up using flamethrowers to overtake these caves. We had 12,500 soldiers killed at Okinawa. Over 35,000 wounded. The Japanese lost 120,000. The Okinawans lost 42,000. But now that we have Okinawa, there's only one place left. Mainland Japan. April 12th, 1945. Franklin Delano Roosevelt dies. And the decision on what to do is going to fall to his vice president, now president, Harry Truman. Germany's surrender had allowed us to focus on Japan now. But Japan didn't seem any closer to surrendering, despite the fact that we were bombing them continually. Despite the fact that we were closing in on mainland Japan. Truman's going to have to decide how he wants to end this war.